You're watching Knicks Now by Chat Sports. I am your host, Marshall Green. In today's video, we're going to go over 5 players the New York Knicks could trade for prior to the 2024 NBA trade deadline, because we know the Knicks are trying to make a move based off of the moves that they've already made. They went out and they re-signed Precious Achiuwa to a 1-year, $6 million deal, and they still have the taxpayer mid-level exception at their disposal. And rumors suggest that Leon Rose wants to pair that $6 million with Precious Achiuwa and the taxpayer mid-level exception to have $11.2 million in outgoing salary to make a move for a player prior to the deadline. We're going to give you 5 centers they could look to target. But I want to go back to this tweet from Fred Katz of The Athletic back on July 30th when Achiuwa put pen to paper to return to the Knicks. And Fred Katz said Achiuwa has waived his bird veto, a league source says. Normally, a player of Achiuwa's type who re-signs on a 1-year contract receives the right to veto any deal. But since Achiuwa waived his, he can be traded without the ability to veto the deal. So Achiuwa really helped the New York Knicks out by doing this. Why did they do that? Or why did he do that? So he could make a little bit more money and the Knicks could potentially maintain flexibility in a trade down the line. The Knicks also will 100% use that taxpayer mid-level exception, which can pay a player $5.2 million in their first season. That player is not going to be in the rotation, though. That is essentially going to be a human trade exception. They're going to sign someone with the idea to use them in a trade down the line. And they're going to use that because they are $7.6 million below the second apron, so they have plenty of room to go out and give someone a $5.2 million contract and still stay below that second apron where they do not want to be. The taxpayer mid-level exception plus Precious Achiuwa equals $11.2 million in outgoing salary. So for today's video, I went and looked at all the centers in the NBA, and I came up with a list of 5 that make less than 11.2 because you have to send out more money than you accept when you are already over the tax, so you don't hard cap yourself at that first or second apron like the Knicks potentially were going to do by making that Mikal Bridges trade. The Knicks want to maintain flexibility. That's one thing I've learned about this team since covering them day in and day out now over 3 years is Leon Rose, Worldwide West, Gerson Rosas, and every person, Brock Aller included, they want to maintain flexibility. So if and when a deal presents itself, they have the chips to get it done. Let's go over 5 centers they could look to target. Number 1 being Jonas Valanciunas, the big man that went from the New Orleans Pelicans to the Washington Wizards this past summer. He makes $9.9 million, which is right in the range of where the Knicks are going to be looking to go and make a trade. We've already started to hear that there have been rumors about Jonas Valanciunas being on the trade block. He cannot be moved, though, until mid-December. I believe it's December 15th because he was signed in free agent. And that is really the first time that the NBA trade season gets kicked off. He's 6'11", 265 pounds, 32 years old, and he is one of the more skilled offensive players in this league. Last year for New Orleans, averaging 12.2 points per game and 8.8 rebounds, and he was solid for them. The thing I love the most about him, though, is his availability. 82 games in 2023, 79 games in 2022, 74 games in 2021, and when the NBA only played 72 games in 2020, he played in 62 of them. He is the guy that can go and get you 10 and 10 or 12 and 8 or 14 and 10 any single night. He is an offensively skilled player, not an elite rim protector, can't move his feet all that well, doesn't offer much flexibility or switchability on the defensive end, but he would give you another type of look at that center position that would, in my opinion, would be a good rotation between Robinson and Valanciunas. You look at what he's done from 3, because a lot of people want to go out and add a stretch big. And I'm not here to tell you that Jonas Valanciunas is a guy that can consistently knock it in from beyond the arc, but we've seen throughout his career that he has had some success doing so. This past year, not so much, only shooting 30.8% from deep on 1.5 attempts. But the prior 2 years, he shot 35% plus on 1.5 attempts in 2022 and 2.1 in 2021. So he can do it. He just doesn't do it at an elite clip. But he can score from all over the floor. You look at some of these advanced analytics, from 3 to 10 feet, he shoots 53%. So he can score from outside of the dunker spot. He can provide you a little bit of that offensive ability that Isaiah Hartenstein had. He shot 53% on 10 to 16 feet, only 87 attempts, so about 1 per game, but he can knock that down. And then when he has to go in the deep mid-range, he could still hit it there. Did that 20 times last year on 39 attempts, 51.3%. So an offensively skilled center, and he can go out and he can do it on that side of the floor, and that would give the Knicks some offensive flexibility. Another player I would like to see the Knicks target to make a trade for is Wendell Carter Jr., the versatile big man for the Orlando Magic. I've always been a big fan of his ever since he played at Duke. I just like the versatility and the different things that he can do on a floor to affect the game. He is your modern-day center. Maybe a little bit undersized at 6'10", but I think he makes up with it for his skill on both sides of the floor. Still just 25 years old, so he's got a long way to go in the career, and I think he's only getting better and better, and I believe that he can get a whole lot better in this league. And honestly, of all the centers we're going to talk about on today's show, Wendell Carter Jr. is my top center trade target for the New York Knicks. He is someone that I think can replace what some of the things that Isaiah Hartenstein brought to the Knicks, and I think he can do things better than Isaiah Hartenstein can. He's a much better shooter from three. Every single year of the last 4 years, he's gotten much better from downtown, from 29% to 32% to 36%, then almost 37.5%. And a number like that for a big man like him is awesome. Him in a pick and pop with Jalen Brunson and him knocking down those threes at the top of the key would be another really just engine really for the offense for the Knicks to use. He's someone that's averaged 15 points per game in his career. I think the sweet spot for him is about at 10 to 12 points per game. Not the most elite rebounder, but a center rotation of Wendell Carter and Mitchell Robinson would have a really good yin and yang effect, and I think it could help the Knicks make a deep run in the Eastern Conference playoffs. Carter has always given me Al Horford vibes. I'm not sure he'll ever be the player that Al Horford is, who in my opinion is one of the more underrated players in recent NBA history, but he can give you a guy that can guard multiple positions. He can catch and shoot it from three. He's really skilled and an underrated playmaker as well. And you might be asking, well, Marshall, why would the Orlando Magic trade Wendell Carter? And that's a very fair question. And we've heard rumors this offseason that the Magic have listened to some trade offers for Wendell, but I think it just comes down to this. They have 3 centers on the roster who all make more than $9 million. And do the Orlando Magic want to pay their centers, all 3 of them, a combined $30 million per year? They've got some big-time contracts coming up. Paolo is around the corner. They just paid the Wagner brothers. And I think that the Magic could be looking to move one of these guys. And if I had to choose one of them, it would be Wendell Carter. Let's talk about my twin, the guy I always get told I look like, my man Zubac from the Los Angeles Clippers. He comes in at $11.7 million, so another player that fits in that range of the taxpayer mid-level exception, plus Precious Achiuwa. The main reason I could see Los Angeles trading Zubac is because the Clippers are going to be a bad basketball team this year. They lose Paul George for nothing. Kawhi Leonard, is he going to play basketball anymore? And it seems like James Harden is going to be the focal point of that team. And that sounds like a team that's going to be trying to compete to make the play-in. And maybe the Los Angeles Clippers look in the mirror and say, we can get a young player in Precious Achiuwa. We can add this player in the taxpayer mid-level exception. And the Knicks have 9 tradable second-round picks. Maybe they give up 3 of them to get Zubac, and it's a nice, clean reset for the Clippers. 7 foot, a true 7-footer. He can protect the rim, and he can get it done on the offensive end as well. In each of the last 4 seasons, he's averaged more than 9 points per game, and in the last 3 years, he's pretty much given you a double-double. Not an elite protector, not an elite rim protector by any means, but he can definitely be a guy that comes in and is not just taken advantage of by other offenses. He averages over a block per game in each of the last 3 seasons, 0.9 in 2021. He's a really good pick and roll threat. You can actually throw him the ball and he can work out with his back to the basket. He could be another guy that you look to create some offense. He's one of the higher centers I have on my center trade targets list. I think Zubac would be a great fit for this New York Knicks team. We've got two more centers to talk about, but first I got to let you guys know about our proud sponsor of Knicks Now, and that is Game Time, the #1 ticketing app in the world. Check them out. Open up the App Store, download the Game Time app, create an account, use that promo code ChatSports for $20 off your first purchase. If you're looking to go to an NFL, NBA, MLB game anytime soon, or maybe even a concert, a theater event, or a comedy show, or something else like that, get your tickets with Game Time. Game Time makes sure you get the best seats for the lowest prices guaranteed. One of my favorite things about Game Time is prices drop as the events get closer. So if you're kind of a procrastinator like I am a little bit, Game Time will work out for you. You get last-minute tickets and flash deals, meaning the app is literally going to let you know when a flash deal is going on, aka the best price for those seats. You get a view from the seat inside the app when you're debating on which ticket to buy. And you get the lowest price guarantee. I also love the feature of where you can select when you're looking at tickets to show you the all-in price. The thing that I don't love about other ticketing apps is they say, oh, you can get these 2 tickets for $100. And then you get to checkout and it's like, why do they want $550 for me? All the hidden fees. Game Time, they're not about that life. They're going to make sure you see the price and you pay that price. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use that promo code ChatSports, CHATSPORTS, and get $20 off your first purchase. I'll make sure all that information is clickable down in the comments and description. $20 off your first purchase where terms do apply. Another center that I think the New York Knicks could look to trade for is Robert Williams III. And you might be looking at it and say, well, isn't Robert Williams making a little bit more money than what the Knicks could really pay? And yeah, the Knicks would have to add more salary and a little bit more to Wendell Carter as well as Zubac. You throw in a player on a minimum contract and you can get it done. I've always been a huge fan of Robert Williams' game. Living in Texas, I got to see him play college basketball for the Aggies, and I really fell in love with him as a prospect just because of the versatility, the switchability, and the different things and the different ways he can affect the game on the defensive end. He is your modern-day defensive stud, even though he is just 6'8". But it's not really about the ability, and it's not really about the talent for me with Williams. It comes down to the fact that he hasn't been able to really stay healthy. Only 6 games in 2024, 35 games in 2023, 61 games in 2022, and just 52 games in 2021. But you look at the numbers and you're like, this guy's good. And you watch him. The eye test tells you he can guard 1 through 5. He can switch. He can attack the rim. He plays above the rim. And he is really an anchor on the defensive end. But can he stay healthy? That's really all I really care about at this point. I'm going to use the past to predict the future and tell you that it's more likely than not that he does get hurt. But sometimes in this league, you got to risk it. And you got to go out and make a big-time move that could have big-time rewards on the other end. Not a player that's at the top of my wish list to trade for, but somebody I do think the Knicks could look to target. Another player, another Orlando Magic center, and that's Goga Bitadze. As we know, Bitadze re-signed with the Orlando Magic earlier this offseason. And he was somebody that the New York Knicks wanted to sign in NBA free agency. They really wanted to get a deal done with him, but the fact that he made $9 million from Orlando, they just weren't able to go that high when it comes to matching the salary. He actually reminds me of Isaiah Hartenstein. Really physical player, underrated playmaker, and a good rim protector at 6'11", 25 years old. Not someone that I think is going to affect the game in a pick and roll as a roll man, as an offensive guy you can lean on, as he's only averaged 5 points per game this past year and 4.4 points the prior year, never averaging more than 7 points per game in the last 4 years. But if you're looking to replace and kind of fill the void that Hartenstein left with some underrated playmaking, that dribble handoff game, some physicality, some rim protection, and a guy that's going to leave it out on the floor every time he's out there. But Bitadze could be that player, and I don't think you would have to add too much to Achiuwa and that taxpayer mid-level free agent signing that you would have to ink a deal with to make a trade like this. Not the sexiest player in the world to make a trade for, but somebody that I definitely think could help the Knicks rotation, makes them a bigger team, and gives you some insurance if Mitchell Robinson does go down with an injury, like we've seen that happen the past couple of years. I've talked about 5 players on today's show: Jonas Valanciunas, Wendell Carter, Zubac, Robert Williams III, and Goga Bitadze. Now it's your turn to tell me which player you would like the Knicks to trade for out of these 5 players. Type the initial of the big dude that you would like to see wear Knicks orange and blue next season. Make sure you are following me over on social media. I'm on Twitter at @MarshallGreen_, as well as on IG at @MarshallGreen_. Let's continue the conversation over there. Give me a follow, and let's go Knicks.